My ex faked amnesia to avoid breaking up, then I found their secret diary. I'll never forget the last normal thing Jake said to me before his so-called amnesia started. We were lying on the couch, his head in my lap like always, when he suddenly winced and said, "Babe, can you grab my Advil? I feel a headache coming on." I should have known right then. That headache was me. My name's Mia. I'm 28, and I tend bar at this little place in Chicago where the regulars know my name and the whiskey pours a little heavy after midnight. Jake was, well, he was supposed to be the one. 31 years old, a freelance graphic designer who worked from our tiny apartment, the kind of guy who'd leave sticky notes in my apron before my shifts. Little doodles of us with hearts, or sometimes just "I love you" in his messy handwriting. We had our routines, our stupid little things that made us us. Like emergency tacos. No matter how bad my shift was, no matter how tired he was from work, if I texted emergency tacos, he'd meet me at our spot at 2 a.m. I really thought we were happy. But looking back now, there were signs. Little cracks in the perfect boyfriend act. Like how sometimes I'd catch him practicing apologies in the mirror when he thought I wasn't home. One time I walked in on him mid-sentence, "Mia, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to," and he froze like a kid caught stealing candy. He laughed it off, said he was working on his acting skills, and I believed him. God, I was stupid. Everything changed after his weekend work trip. He came home with his duffel bag slung over his shoulder, same as always, but when I ran up to hug him, he took a step back. His face went blank. Who are you?" I laughed. "Okay, very funny." But he didn't laugh with me. Just stared. "Seriously, do I know you?" The hospital was a blur of white walls and beeping machines. Doctors poked and prodded, ran scans, asked him 100 questions. "Do you know what year it is? Who's the president? Do you recognize this woman?" Every test came back normal. No head injury, no seizure activity, nothing. "Sometimes stress can cause temporary memory loss," one doctor told me, patting my shoulder like I was a sad dog. But Jake's amnesia didn't make sense. He didn't remember me, didn't remember our dog Benny, but he could rattle off his boss's birthday no problem. He forgot our entire relationship but still knew his Netflix password by heart. And when I texted him later that night, "How are you feeling?" he still auto-corrected my "your" to "your." Some things, I guess, even fake amnesia can't erase. The slip-ups started small. I heard him humming our song in the shower one morning, the one we'd danced to at his cousin's wedding. Another time, I watched him absent-mindedly do our secret knock on the bedroom door before catching himself. But the real kicker? The Netflix thing. I went to log into his account one night, and there it was, plain as day on his arm where he'd written it in Sharpie, our shared password. Right next to a note that said, "Lizzie 8 p.m. I didn't know who Lizzie was. But I knew one thing for sure, real amnesia doesn't come with reminders. I sat there staring at Jake's arm, at those crisp black letters spelling out our Netflix password right next to some mystery woman's name, and my stomach dropped like I just missed the last step on a staircase. The shower was still running, steam curling out from under the bathroom door. I could hear Jake in there, singing off-key to some pop song like he didn't have a care in the world. Like he hadn't just looked at me yesterday, like I was some stranger who'd broken into his life. I grabbed my phone and snapped a picture before the ink could smudge. My hands were shaking so bad the first two came out blurry. The third one got it all, the password, the time, the name Lizzie in his neat all-caps handwriting. Real subtle, Jake. I should have confronted him right then. Burst into the bathroom and demanded answers while he stood there dripping wet and guilty. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the way he'd looked at me in the hospital, that perfect blank confusion. Maybe it was the way the doctors had all nodded along like his story made sense. Or maybe I just wanted proof that wasn't written in disappearing ink on his stupid traitorous forearm. So I waited. The next morning, Jake couldn't remember where we kept the coffee filters. He stood in our tiny kitchen looking helpless while I pulled them from the cabinet we'd kept them in for a year. Right next to the mugs. Where they'd always been. "Thanks," he said, flashing me that same apologetic smile he used when he forgot our anniversary last year. "I guess some things are just gone." I watched his hands as he made his coffee. No tremors. No hesitation. Just muscle memory carrying him through the motions like he'd done it 1,000 times before. Which he had. In this kitchen. With me. That's when I decided to search his stuff. I waited until his weekly therapy appointment, another new development since the Amnesia Act began. The second the door clicked shut behind him, I tore through our apartment like a woman possessed. I started with the obvious places, his nightstand, his dresser, the junk drawer where he kept old receipts and spare change. Nothing. Then I remembered his guitar. Jake hadn't played in months, but his beat-up acoustic still sat in the corner of our bedroom collecting dust. I flipped it over and ran my fingers along the back panel until I felt it, a slight bulge under the lining. My heart hammered against my ribs as I peeled back the fabric and pulled out a small black notebook. The cover was blank, but the first page stopped my breath cold. Operation Memory Loss. In Jake's handwriting, underlined twice. Below it, dated entries stretching back 3 months, long before his amnesia started. My hands trembled as I flipped through pages of notes, scripts, contingency plans. Week 1, start forgetting small things, her coffee order, cousin's name. Week 3, introduce headache complaints. Phase 2, full memory wipe performance, hospital visit necessary for credibility. It read like some twisted movie script. And I was the oblivious side character. Near the middle, I found a section titled Lizzie Protocol with times, dates, and instructions. Asterisk July 14th, call from neurologist Lizzie to confirm memory loss diagnosis. July 20th, Lizzie visits apartment when Mia at work, bring takeout from hospital asterisk. The pages got worse as I kept reading. Detailed notes about my reactions, lists of things he should forget next, even stage directions like some deranged method actor. If she cries, pause for 3 seconds before responding. Refer to dog as the dog, not Benny. Important, keep phone locked at all times. But the worst part? The very last page. Dated yesterday. Asterisk exit strategy. 1. Secure Lizzie as new GF. 2. Gaslight Mia into breakup. 3. Play victim when she gets angry. Contingency, if Mia finds this, activate plan B asterisk. I was still staring at those words when I heard the key turn in the front door. The notebook slipped from my hands as Jake's voice called out, "Babe? You home?" Sweet as honey. Like nothing was wrong. Like he hadn't been lying to me for months. I barely had time to shove the notebook under the bed before he appeared in the doorway, holding 2 coffee cups and smiling like the world's worst Oscar winner. "You'll never believe what happened today," he said, handing me a latte, my usual order, the one he'd forgotten just last week. "I think I'm starting to remember things." The cup burned my fingers, but I didn't care. Because right there on his wrist, peeking out from under his sleeve, was a fresh note in that same neat handwriting. Plan B ready. Await signal. I took the coffee from Jake with steady hands, which surprised me because my entire body felt like a live wire. The latte was perfect, just the right amount of vanilla, no foam. Exactly how I liked it. The kind of detail you remember when you actually care about someone. Remember things? I asked, forcing my voice to stay light. Like what? Jake ran a hand through his hair, that familiar gesture he always did when he was nervous. Just little flashes. Your laugh. The way you always steal the blankets. He smiled, soft and apologetic. It's coming back slowly. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the scalding coffee in his face. Instead, I took a slow sip and said, "That's amazing, babe." The notebook burned a hole in my mind from under the bed. Plan B. Whatever that meant. I needed time to think, so I did what any self-respecting woman would do in that situation. I faked a work emergency. Shoot, I completely forgot. I promised Tony I'd cover the lunch shift, I lied, already grabbing my bag. We'll celebrate your memories later, okay? Jake's face fell just enough to be convincing. Oh, yeah, of course. He pulled me into a hug that made my skin crawl. I love you. 3 months ago, those words would have melted me. Now they just sounded rehearsed. The second I was outside, I ran. Not to the bar, to the library 3 blocks away where they had free computers and no security cameras. I pulled up Jake's Instagram, clicking through his followers until I found her, Lizzie Carter. No profile picture, just a default silhouette. Private account. But her bio said neurology resident at Chicago Memorial. My hands shook as I searched the hospital staff directory. There she was, Elizabeth Carter, MD. A real doctor. A real neurologist. And apparently, Jake's partner in crime. I spent the next hour digging through every social media platform I could find. Facebook showed they'd gone to the same college. LinkedIn confirmed they'd worked at the same campus coffee shop in 2015. This wasn't some random fling, this was a long game. The pieces clicked together with horrible clarity. The fake amnesia. The hospital visits. The neurologist calls. Lizzie had been feeding him medical jargon, helping him make it convincing. They'd probably been planning this for months. I was about to close the browser when I noticed it, a tiny icon in the corner of Lizzie's LinkedIn profile. A shared connection. My breath caught as I clicked it. Dr. Sarah Chun. My cousin's wife. Also a neurologist. Also at Chicago Memorial. The universe couldn't have handed me a bigger gift if it tried. That night, I pretended everything was normal. I let Jake tell me about his returning memories over takeout. I nodded along as he remembered our first date. Wrong, he forgot the part where he spilled wine on my dress. I even let him kiss me goodnight, his lips familiar and foreign at the same time. The second his breathing evened out in sleep, I crept to the living room and called Sarah. Mia. She sounded groggy. It's 2 a.m. I need your help, I whispered. I think my boyfriend is faking amnesia with one of your residents. There was a long pause. Then, start from the beginning. 2 days later, I accidentally left Jake's notebook in my tote bag when Sarah came over for coffee. I made sure to run to the bathroom at just the right moment, giving her plenty of time to find it. The look on her face when I came back told me everything I needed to know. This is highly unethical, she said carefully, flipping through the pages. If Lizzie's really involved. Can you prove it? Sarah's smile was razor sharp. Give me a week. The trap was simple. Sarah invited Lizzie to consult on a difficult case, a patient with unusual memory loss patterns. She even provided MRI scans to review. Scans that just happened to be Jake's. I watched the whole thing unfold from the hospital cafeteria security feed Sarah sent me. Lizzie sitting in a conference room, flipping through Jake's fake medical records. The exact moment she realized the dates didn't match up with their scheme. The panic in her eyes when Sarah asked, "Have you seen this presentation before?" She cracked in under 10 minutes. Turns out, medical ethics violations carry heavier consequences than broken hearts. By the time Lizzie finished confessing, she'd implicated Jake in insurance fraud, those hospital visits weren't free, and given Sarah recorded proof of their entire plan. I was cleaning out my half of the apartment when Jake came home early, his face pale. Lizzie just got fired, he said, voice hollow. I didn't look up from folding my sweaters. Funny how that happens when you fake medical conditions with doctors. The silence that followed was the most honest moment we'd had in months. You read the notebook. It wasn't a question. Cover to cover. I finally met his eyes. Operation Memory Loss was a real creative name. Too bad Plan B didn't work out. Jake opened his mouth, probably to spin some new lie, but I held up my phone where Sarah's text glowed bright. Report filed. Security escorting her out now. His face crumpled. Mia, I can explain. Save it for the next girl, I said, zipping my suitcase shut. But word of advice? Next time you want to break up with someone, just use your words like an adult. I left him standing there, surrounded by all the little pieces of our life together. The framed photos he'd pretended not to recognize. The coffee mugs he'd forgotten were his favorites. The dog bed where Benny still waited loyally for his fake amnesiac owner. The last thing I heard as the door closed behind me was the sound of Jake calling my name. This time, I didn't look back. 6 months later, a TikTok about #amnesiaboyfriend went viral. Turns out I wasn't Jake's first victim, just the first one to catch him. 3 other women came forward with eerily similar stories. Selective memory loss. Mysterious doctors. The same damn notebook with different names. Last I heard, Jake moved to another state. Rumor has it he tried the amnesia bit again on a psychology PhD student. Some people never learn. As for me, I got a promotion at the bar. Benny got extra treats. And I started dating this cute locksmith who thinks my trust issues are quirky. Oh, and that notebook? I donated it to the community theater downtown. They're doing a dark comedy next season called Gaslight, the musical. Jake should go see it. Assuming he remembers. D.